welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that, like Groucho, would never join a club that would have someone like me for a member. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Marvel Strike Team from WizKids.
Scientists in my field keep on calling me insane. Well, they should have invented themselves some kind of shield, yeah. Cause in these jars I'm holding all of the brains. Wow, 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 it's not easy being a genius. It's not easy being a super evil genius. Whoa, 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 you don't know how I feel. So you must be killed because you're not an evil genius like me. With the ladies, I'm not much of a...
In Marvel Strike Teams from WizKids, 2 to 5 players take on the roles of iconic Marvel heroes and villains as they, of course, attempt to fulfill certain objectives and gain the most operation points. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a dungeon crawler, and it's also related to the HeroClix system from WizKids. It's not strictly speaking a HeroClix game, but you do have the figures that have the clicks on the bottom to denote various levels, and we'll get into that a little bit later. This comes with a modular board, essentially with different scenarios. You can create different kinds of boards. And these different kinds of boards are very interesting and different and unique. You have different obstacles in the boards, which restrict movement, line of sight, etc., etc. Now, this game can be played in various scenarios or as an entire campaign. Now, in the different scenarios, you're essentially playing through different stages. The first stage, second stage, third stage, and they each have different kind of objectives for that stage that will reward one side or the other operations points. Now, you also select a random map for each of these scenarios, so you're always getting kind of these very randomized objectives and maps throughout the games. Now, the base game comes with 4 heroes. It comes with Iron Man, Captain America, Agent May, and Quake. The villains in this game include the Winter Soldier, Radioactive Man, Baron Strucker, and, of course, the Hydra Henchman. Now, you're going to get your kind of hero player card. You're going to set that in front of you, and you're also going to agree upon kind of a build point limit. Now, this kind of grows and expands as you play the campaign game. If you just play a scenario, you can all agree on what level you want your heroes. That's where you turn your little click dial to show how many build points you get. With those build points, you essentially add action cards to your hero. These action cards have all sorts of different abilities. You know, you've got things that will increase your movement, you've got things that will increase your attacks, you've got things that will increase your defense. This is added to the ones that are already printed on the card, which have all those, or some of those abilities, but they're much weaker on your base card, and they become much stronger when you add those specific cards to what you're doing. Now, each player on their sheet also has a kind of number of action points they have to spend every turn. Now, you're going to have to spend these action points to activate these special abilities or your normal abilities, or if you move or you do anything else, you've got to spend your action points, so you've got to use those wisely throughout the game. Now, at the beginning of every round, both players are going to gain +1 point to their command dial. Their command dial is kind of like the dial from Star Trek Attack Wing. It's a little twisty dial. You go ahead, you put that on 1, you move that up 1 every round. What this is kind of a reserve point that the hero or the villain can use at any time on their turn. Now, of course, you only have the one mastermind, the one villain versus all of the heroes in any given scenario here. So you go, after that command dial phase, you actually go to the mastermind's turn. So this mastermind, the one person playing the mastermind, he goes ahead and he can move, he can use his units in any way. He can do his attacks, his movement. He can essentially try to stifle the heroes from reaching their objectives, or indeed trying to figure out what it is he needs to accomplish in order to gain the points for himself. After the mastermind goes, then the heroes go. And the heroes can go in any order. They can decide how they want to do it. But you have to move with all of your action points before the next person can activate. So you can't split up the attacks and the movement between you. You can go in any order, but you have to do everything with that character, and then you pass. Once the heroes have all gone, you do a little bookkeeping. You advance kind of the turn tracker, and then you see if anybody has reached their objectives. Each stage has kind of 4 rounds like that. So essentially, you've got the 4 round tokens. You put them on one side of the stage. You move to the other side of the stage to show that you are advancing along the game. So essentially, you go back and forth like this, battling each other in these dungeons, trying to do special actions in order to achieve the goal for the specific stage, and to gain those objective points. You can also gain objective points from doing things like, if you got Hydra villains out there, you get so many points for taking those guys down, and there's other little ways you can gain objective points in the game, depending on the scenario. So you're going, as I say, back and forth through all the stages doing this, and at the end of the final turn on that last stage, you go ahead, you add up, see who's got the most operational points, and whoever has the most operational points wins Marvel Strike Teams. So, first of all, a word on production here. This is a beautiful looking game. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the minis. They are really well done. I'm not a painter, and I know some people that paint, hold their nose up. Ugh. I liked it. I think that the game looks beautiful. I think the characters look beautiful. Components look beautiful. Cardstock could have been a little better, I think, but generally speaking, it's not bad. I was generally very pleased with the presentation of this game. Looks very, very good. Now, I do have a few issues here. First of all, the maps that come out, the different maps you can make. It seemed that, I don't know if it was just my copy or what, but it seemed like there were actually some of the pieces of the map were missing, so I couldn't build full maps. So that was one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit. We started building one map and go, oh, well, we can't build that map, let's build another one. So that's how we solved that. So that was really disappointing. You obviously want the components that it says you need for something like that, and this was a game that just, it did, like I said, I don't know if it was my copy or in general, but it didn't have some of those pieces. So we going on, we played different maps. Another thing too is, I remember the first kind of modular map dungeon crawler like this I played was Imperial Assault. And I'm not a fan of putting together maps like this. I mean, I like the variety you get and replayability you get with different maps, but it's just so tedious putting these things together. And the thing about like Imperial Assault was it numbered the components, so you could actually see, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. This one, the tiles themselves are not numbered, so it's really a lot more difficult to get that done. It's really a lot more difficult to find the pieces you need and to place them properly. So that was a disappointment as well. I was very disappointed about that. Now, what I didn't mention here is that when a player takes damage, essentially he gets these little red cubes, and he puts those on those action spots, okay? The action cards or the spots where you can, on your base card. And what that does is it increases the cost of using those things. And that is so cool because it forces you to make some really tough decisions. When you take damage, it's not just a matter of, oh, I've got damage. It's going to restrict how I can use my abilities going forward. And this was really cool because, again, the tough choice in this game is how to properly spend all of the action points I've got. Do I want to get in range? If I get in range to use a weapon, then I'm not going to have enough points to use a weapon. But I've got the command dial. Should I use the command dial, the points from the command dial now, or should I wait to use those in case I'm going to be attacked and I'll have to defend myself later? So there's really good choices along that line, and where the damage kind of inflates the price of those choices, of those abilities, just is awesome. I really like that. That to me, I got to be honest, that to me is something that makes this game really fun and interesting. I mean, the game's good as it is, but that makes it like, wow. I mean, I really, really like that system. Now, I also generally like the scenarios and what you can do with the scenarios. There is some randomness there that can be a little off-putting. You're going one place to do something, and then, oh, we got to go here and do something else. And that can be a little random, but still, generally, the way the scenarios, each of them are set up, I think works well. I think it's a pretty good package. This game, it seems to me to be a little fiddly in places, a little more fiddly than it needs to be, and that was a little disappointing. But generally, I enjoyed it, and I'm not a huge fan of dungeon crawlers in general. And this one, for me, to enjoy a dungeon crawler, it has to be a little more. There has to be a little more something to it. It has to be something a little bit more than just same old, because so many dungeon crawlers just feel samey to me, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of them. But this one, with that damage system, really feels unique and special, and that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it. So it works very much on that level. So we played a couple of scenarios from the base game. Generally had fun both times. There's also a expansion they already put out. We haven't played with the expansion yet, but it looks pretty cool. It's called the Avengers Initiative, I believe is the name of it. It's got some pretty cool characters as well. You've got Agent Coulson, you've got Falcon, you've got Black Widow, you've got Vision. As far as villains, you've got Agent Ward, you've got Absorbing Man, you've got Loki, and you've got Ultron. So there's a lot of different, there's a lot more variety that you can add to your game here. So, kind of what my synthesis here is of my review. This game's kind of a mixed bag, but generally I like it. Like I say, that damage system, the way it works here with the cubes and increasing costs, I got a kick out of the game. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to say buy it, but be aware of those caveats if that's something that may be a little bit off-putting for you. Like I say, no numbers on the tiles. That fails Dungeon Crawler 101. But other than that, and I just enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with this game. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the origin of that Groucho line. Mr. Marks, we're delighted to have you here.
Well, I'm delighted to be here.
Well, we're delighted that you're delighted.
Everyone was delighted. Then he found out I was Jewish.
Mr. Marks, I'm sorry, but we don't allow Jews to swim in our pool.
What about my son? He's only half Jewish. Can he go in the water up to his knees? Well, a good laugh was had by all, but we didn't get into the club.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
My nephew told me that one, and I thought that was stupid at first, but then I got it.